Good evening. This is Raph from Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms, here streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. Tonight I have with me my co-hosts Neindorf and Walton. Say hi, Neindorf, first.
Welcome, everyone.
How you doing, Walton?
Good afternoon, doing good.
All right. Well, let's kick things off tonight. First, we wanted to get to we're trying to stream live on YouTube, so if you're watching us, thanks for checking us out there. And if you're hearing us on Apple or Spotify or Google Podcasts or Anchor, go check us out on YouTube. That would be very helpful. Thank you. All right, Neindorf, give us the question of the day.
Yeah, so given current events, I think the appropriate question for me is what do you do with a washed up or semi-washed up advanced hero? So I've been asking you guys questions about this a little bit. It's like I got, a ninja or whatever, advanced or plus with, say he's only got 2 summons left out of 5. What do you guys do with them at that point? Where do you see the value right now?
Well, I'll let you go first, Walton.
In my opinion, I mean, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but a lot of, and I hate to get into this point to start off, but a lot of what's kind of moving on the hero market right now is I am seeing more advanced class and elite class moving for the heroes if you're willing to pay a little bit of jewel, between 100, 200, depending on what you're looking for. And so it's tough. If, in my opinion, if it's a hero that you think is worth keeping, and when I say that, if it's a fisherman that's ranked high in a rare, or if it's basically it has a profession with a stat boost that you're looking to keep, I say rent it out. I think there's always people looking to rent some out, depending on the market. I haven't really looked at the market too much. And if it's one that you really, once it's used up, there's not any good potential, I say just try to dish it out, see what you can get for it.
I would say I've been taking a bit of a similar approach with, instead of dishing them out at the end, right now I'm just doing the questing army. But I haven't had a lot of success with renting, I would say, over the last 2 weeks with the real boom in jewel prices. I have a common Dark Knight hero that I'm sitting on with 1 summon left, and he's a Gen 1 as well. So his summon fees are pretty low, and I have him now down to, I think, like 12 jewel, and I still can't get him rented out. Whereas a couple weeks ago, I think I had his second summon go for 25 jewel. And so I'll try to slowly rent out their remaining summons, and right now I'm kind of comfortable clicking my life away, so to speak. I will say that my daily time on DeFi Kingdoms has increased quite a bit, but that's where I'm at.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's helpful. So it's basically kind of like, if it seems like it's going to be a useful hero moving forward into like adventure quests for the combination of, say, stats and profession, you could rent it out to recoup some of your investment. Or if it doesn't really maybe match necessarily, attempt to sell, because there's always people possibly looking at adding to advanced and getting to that elite. All right, I think that's some pretty good advice.
All right, well, let's go to our current projects next. Last time we spoke about the alert system and the website. Give us some more information about where you're at, Neindorf.
Yeah, I got a beta site, I'll call it, up and running, and I've sent invite codes to you guys, and you might have had a crash or 2 here or there, but I think we got through most of those issues, and now we've got a functional site. Far as accounting goes, like your user logins and registration, the next piece I got to get to is the alerts. I've had a hard time working on that over the last few days, again, because kind of like we'll talk about here, these RPC issues were really hurting the API that I use to pull data from. So I kind of wasn't able to test some things out today when I had some time. So hopefully I've seen some good movement there's a dev page, or sorry, a dev channel in the Discord, and some of that stuff's been getting resolved. So I think we're going to get there here in a few days where we're going to actually, be ready for showtime.
All right, excellent. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And we'll talk about this a little more in the hero price section, but I think there's still some good deals to be had out there, and I know you have your mind on or your eye on a Sage or a Dragoon, but we'll talk about that a bit more later. So today is December 27th. It's a Monday. They had an AMA with the business development team today. And, a couple things that stuck out to me that I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. The first one was their general overall caution to being posted out on the marketplace or going and adopting new incentivized LP pools and how they're expanding. And it sounds like they're taking a very reasoned and measured approach, which I can appreciate. One of the things that they brought up is they're concerned about, people trying to short the price of Jewel out there in the world. And so I think it's something that they are trying to keep the community's best interests at heart and control as much as they can how this is being released out into the universe.
I think that's a great thing. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of the stuff I've read and some of the crazy swings of crypto have to do with these, like you're saying, either shorted positions or even positions that are something crazy like 10x leveraged. Just if you think of normal stock trading, you think of 2 or 3x leverage as being crazy. Crypto is even worse, in my opinion. I think that's some of those practices that I kind of wish the crypto market would get away from, so you can get a little bit more stability, maybe. To hear that coming out of the devs, in my opinion, is amazing, and it kind of bolsters my attitude towards this, that I'm going to keep in it. I'm not looking to bail out anytime soon, I guess is what I'm going to say, because of risks from those sorts of systems.
Well, one thing that I did notice is when I have seen some of the huge swings in the crypto, and obviously there's some huge whales out there, and it seems like as soon as they start to sell, people kind of follow suit. But one thing I have noticed with DeFi Kingdoms is, they'll kind of drop down a little bit, and I see a quick kind of swing back quicker rebound than I have seen, kind of on the regular market. And obviously I know when you guys are talking about within the game, it's a little bit different. And obviously if you get some few bad players in there, it's a little bit different because it's not as broad of a market. But, I do have some faith in what they're doing there.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment, guys. I was just thinking about, I read through Sandwich Punch's Whale Watch report that he just released yesterday, and I'll try to pull up some of those statistics, but he gave some information about the amount of Jewel owned by, large wallets compared to the rest of us out there, and it seems to be trending and moving in the right direction that would have you hopeful towards a healthier environment with Jewel, where just a few people can't swing the price that much. But I'll see if I can bring up the exact statistics once that loads. All right, so let's go on to our
another thing that I kind of want to bring up though about that.
Go ahead.
Is I feel like a lot of the main players and I should say, like Frisky Fox and all of them, I think that a lot of them are well invested in the game. So as far as whales go, I think there is going to be kind of how should I say it, like an inflated number, because I think some of those original people that got into this and helped develop this game, I think some of those guys are holding some major Jewel, and on paper it's going to look like whales, but obviously if they're part of the development, I have faith in them not trying to tank it. So I wouldn't really consider those people as much as a whale as I would somebody that's not a part of their team.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. I hadn't really considered that. Basically, since they have a very much incentivized position, they're not going to go liquidate it.
Well, I'll say this part about that too is, and the reason why the part I kind of bring up about that is, you know, I don't know how to put this, but people's, if you own a hero, it'll have kind of their wallet information on there. And if you use the Kingdom Watch, you can kind of see how some of the developers of the game, how they're kind of sitting and whatnot. And I was interested to kind of see, and I have noticed most of them are holding a large amount of lock jewel or amount of jewel with a large amounts of heroes. And so that's kind of where I come up with that aspect is I kind of got curious and was wondering, okay, how are these guys doing and what are they coming up with? And I'm just kind of interested with it. And the Kingdom Watch kind of just breaks everyone's thing down. And like I said, some of those guys that are part of the development team, they're the ones with the heroes starting from like 1 to 15. They have a lot of jewel in there. And so that's where I come with and say, I feel like, and I've seen them have large balances. And so with that being said, I feel like I don't really consider those people whales necessarily within the game.
Sure. So
I think that's really important to mention, and I think that might be another segment that we should do in a future podcast is analytics of some of the developers' wallets and their heroes they're holding. That's where we've got some hidden nuggets in the past, and maybe it's worth taking another look at. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for sure. So here's the statistic that I wanted to reference from, again, Sandwich Punch. He was on episode 3 with us, I believe, and they also have a podcast, I believe, called the Inner Gardens or the Inner Circle. And the statistic here is 3 months ago, the top 50 held 52% of all the X Jewel, and now the top 50 wallets only hold 28%. So I think that's a strong indication that the game is getting more diversified, with a larger number of X Jewel wallets containing jewels above 5,000. So something that definitely has me feeling that as the price of jewel is increasing and it's diversifying more, like the game is certainly going in the right direction.
That and I kind of feel I'm going to add this to it. I would consider that's probably diversifying a little bit more just because was it maybe a month ago they were doing the land giveaways, and that was based on X Jewel, which is the only thing that you can have within the bank. Is that correct, or can you get X Jewel other places? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure, but I was assuming that's all you can get within the bank, and so I think people probably stockpiling that more than what they normally would for those chances at getting a piece of land since it's so rare.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yep,
I think
good
that
point.
certainly can play a part or a role in it for sure. All right, so gardens are now live since the last time we spoke, or live in beta, and I've actually been running solely in beta. I've been having still a few RPC issues here and there with running on the main site, and so I've been going completely in beta. I would say for the most part, it feels like everything is better, except I hate the tracking of Gen 1 floor prices. It feels like you can't sort heroes that are 10 of 10 summons as well as you could have in the main site. How have you guys been doing, and have you been running in main site or beta?
Yeah, no doubt the summons filter is definitely broken in the beta. It jumps to like 7 to 10 when you sort by highest number of summons left, and there's 100% sure 10 out of 10 Gen 1s left. So I've kind of been struggling with that a little bit, and I'll get into it a little bit later in the Gen 0 check-in, but I'll just, the intro would basically be that it's kind of been tricky to find heroes to either purchase or rent too because of these issues.
Right.
Yeah, I think at this point you pretty much only can be doing beta. I mean, I've been having such a hard time with that, and Joel mentioned, Neindorf mentioned the other day about how if you want to try to sell a hero and then you want to go and do a profession, you got to only use beta. And I was on the regular one, and I couldn't get them off of looking like they were still for sale. So I wasn't, for like a whole day, I wasn't getting anywhere with it, and it just kind of felt like a wasted day where I was getting behind.
All right. Well, as I'm bringing this up slowly, I guess I'll share the users, or I'll spare the users from my computer lag that I'm experiencing right now and just go back to the main screen. All right, so let's talk through gardens, or maybe quest returns. Anything exciting that you guys have hauled in lately? Let's start with you, Neindorf.
So yeah, the gardens are interesting. You get those first few new items and you're like, what's this? And they seem, all the garden quest items seem to me that they'll be potion related. Some of the foraging and fishing ones, they definitely seem like they were just kind of, filler. All of these, the descriptions make it sound like they're all useful, which is really cool. Um, but then I went to just to see what they would sell for gold, and none of them sell for like anything. So I was a little confused by that, I guess. But if they're useful for potions, I guess I really don't care anyway, because I'm going to use the potions. Um, but the other thing is I did notice that it seems as though gardening gives you better XP, and I had just recently watched a Climb Crypto YouTube video on this, and I think he kind of said the same thing. So it seems as though like your XP is pretty good for gardening right now if you have a good, skill-based gardener like a summoner or whatnot.
Yeah, I noticed that as well, and one of the things I'm trying to balance in my mind is I believe they came out and said that there would be a second level of profession quests available to those who get to level 10 in your professions. And so I have one summoner and sage who are both in the nines on fishing and who are also really good gardeners. And so I'm trying to weigh in my mind, should I go after the better experience right now in the gardens, or should I try to get to level 10 in case that releases? And I'm thinking that's far enough away that I'm probably just going to keep them in the gardens for now.
Yeah, I've gotten into the gardens, but I'm not really invested in the gardens, so I'm just solely there for XP and just to get whatever potions or whatever's there. And like Nine Door said, one of the first things I checked is how much gold can I get for this, and it's confusing because you really can't get much compared to some of the other stuff that you're grabbing. But as he said, I think they might have more use, and so I wouldn't be confused by that. I think they're going to be used more towards the potions, and you can kind of see based on, in my opinion, on their names and everything like that. So
I think stamina potions are going to be worth quite a bit of money once they release. They're that almost the rare candy cheat code. I don't know if you guys ever remember playing Pokemon on the Game Boy where you drove around Cinnabar Island and you tried to run into the missing number glitch, and then it gave you infinite rare candies. Well, it'll be a lot more expensive than that. I have a strong feeling that those stamina potions, especially with these high XP rewards in the gardens right now, if you have a few of those, you could get a level, maybe in a day. Really just depending on how much gold or jewel you want to drop on that. So could help those out who are starting to feel a little bit behind. Now, Nindorf, one last thing before we move on. You found a gray rock, is that right?
Yeah, we were running some of these quests, and I was like, "What's this gray rock?" And I was like, I looked at it close. I'm like, "Oh, that's an egg." I was like, "Oh yes." I'm like, "That is amazing." I guess I kind of resigned myself that I wasn't going to get one at this point. You run hundreds of quests, and I know the odds are small, but it's just like, you just assume that you're never going to get one. And I drew the lucky straw today, so yeah, that was pretty awesome. I was really excited about that.
Nice work.
yeah, and for everybody out there, don't feel bad if you don't have one. I don't have one either. I'm the only one in this group that doesn't have an egg, so don't feel bad. It'll come eventually.
That's right.
So let's talk about egg prices before we go into hero prices. Those have been dropping fairly dramatically. I try to keep a bit of an eye peeled on them. They are only black market trading on the DeFi Kingdoms wiki Discord. That's the group who sold heroes before the tavern was live, or helped be the go-between before the tavern was live. I've seen the price of eggs really go from about 300, 500 jewel all the way down now to looks like some are going as low as 50 to 70 jewel. What do you guys think? Is that good price, bad price? Walton, how about you?
For me, it's hard to speculate. I feel like if you're questing a lot, I think eventually it will come. It's a really rare chance of getting it. I think they said it was less than 1%. It's just tough because you don't really, at this point, you don't know how it's incorporated into the game. So you have to kind of take a gamble at it. And it's, for me not having one, I have to say I like that the price is coming down in case I wanted to get one. But even at 70 jewel, I think that would be pretty expensive for me or anybody out there with the jewel price right now. I think it's $13.70. So, I mean, that would still be a decent amount of money to spend on an egg. I'm not giving up yet, I guess is what I'm saying.
So I'm almost thinking too that it seems as though the devs kind of have a price in mind, because if you can buy a gold egg for 50,000 gold.
Yeah.
I don't know what, I guess off the top of my head, maybe we'll have to look this up, but I forget what gold is trading at relative to jewel or dollars. But it seems as though that kind of sets the floor, because if I can go buy one for 50K, I mean, it shouldn't go above that technically. Although the only reason it's above that now is because there's not enough items in the game.
I like that point that you just made there. I didn't realize that they had price points on those eggs.
So it looks like gold's at about a penny and a half. So if you multiply that out, that's $750, not even jewel. So $750 to get a golden egg. If you're you could probably just go out and purchase items to sell for gold at this point, I suppose.
You said it was $750.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So I guess I'm not really surprised, because then if you take your $750 and you divide it by like $14 a jewel, that's 53 jewel right there. So that actually kind of jives.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, thanks for the quick math there.
Let me ask you this, guys. Do you guys think the golden egg is going to be worth more than the eggs that you guys have that you can get in the game? Or
I don't think so.
I have a feeling.
I think it's just a different style.
Yeah, I think they're going to be stylistic based, and so the egg that you get from foraging is going to help those stats, and the egg that you get from fishing will help those stats related to that profession. And so I'm guessing the gold egg is probably going to be more like the monk of eggs.
I was going to say the same thing. It's the generalist. Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right.
All right. Well, let's talk about hero prices. You kind of led us there with the question of the day, Neindorf. So maybe Walton, jump into what you're seeing with only advanced pluses are the ones that are really moving on the market right now.
Yeah, what I'm seeing right now is obviously there's a floor. I think it's around, like, you pulled it up, and I think it's kind of staying steady there around like 31 jewel. I like the new tool that they've added to beta. So if you haven't checked it out, go to the recently sold. I've kind of monitored that a little bit. I think it's a little bit behind, to be completely honest, but I've noticed that a lot of them are selling for, if it's a regular, just a, like a monk or something, they're going anywhere from 30 to 70 to 80. I'm seeing advanced classes kind of go somewhere around there. It doesn't give you too much information, so I'm assuming some of those don't have any summons left. But I'm also seeing some of the advanced classes, if it's going for over $100, it's usually an advanced class. Sometimes all the way up to a rare. And then the elite classes are going anywhere from 150 to 350. I'm not really seeing any movement anywhere else. I'm not seeing any mythics being sold. I'm seeing a few legendaries here and there. And I think the highest, one thing that I was kind of tracking is I think the highest hero that was being sold was legendary paladin, and it went for like 1,800 jewel, which I was kind of surprised with how expensive jewel has gotten. That was whoever summoned that hero and sold it did a pretty good job there. So
Wow, yeah, that is interesting because like we've talked about previously, I'm sort of in the back of my mind trying to keep an eye out for that 3/3 dragoon to go with the sages that you know coming off of our ninjas we're kind of able to get, and I've seen some as low as 300. I think that's crazy. I'm just trying to maybe find that right time, or I think what I'm looking for is the right stat boost, which I know you've talked about, Walton, too. It's like that's huge.
yeah, I think it's going to matter more and more. The more you level up, and I think you got to look at a couple things. Is not only that, but the rarity of what you have. So if you have a rare, if you could somehow get a rare, and then the stat boost and the profession matching, I think you could have a really good hero down the road. Even if you're not as lucky to get a mythic or a legendary, I think even if you could just get an advanced class with a profession that matches with a stat boost and it being a rare, I think you that hero could turn out to be something pretty good.
Yeah, I hear you. When you look at the stats growth calculator, if you can land a rare sage or a rare dragoon, I believe that's equivalent to a legendary basic. And so, it's that's still pretty strong and pretty powerful. And when you think about it in that respect, maybe the floor price, I don't have this sorted by rares here, but I could to check the floor price of rare sages and dragoons. I feel like if someone's just looking for potentially strong stat boost in the future, let me scroll back up.
Oh, so you're talking about not necessarily for
Not
summoning,
necessarily
just
for summoning, just for like combat.
for gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just having a great hero, I think it's never, forget about that is you could be creating a great hero and right now it might not be worth much, but as the game progresses and that hero ends up turning out to be pretty dang good. I mean, I think down the road, if the hero market comes kind of tough like it kind of is right now, if you just keep on focusing on some of your heroes and getting them to where you want to be, I mean, I think you could have some really good heroes that could be worth some good money down the road.
Yeah, not that heroes have really been moving very fast, but I'm kind of thinking now might be a bit of a time to hold them if you can. I think the price of heroes will go back up once combat quests are released, but we'll see. Yeah, here it's a shiny sage, but I guess you're looking for a dragoon, aren't you, Neindorf?
Yeah, we'll see what it all brings, right?
Yeah, and I think if you look at some of the rares and the legendaries that are being summoned, that are sages and dragoons, they're coming from a sage and a dragoon trying to go for that ultimate class. And so I guess that is something to keep in mind, that if you do spring for the 3 for 3, you always fall back on at least getting, or I should say, 80% chance of at least getting ultimate or elite class.
Mm-hmm. And I do notice you will see if a lot of these sages and dragoons that are being for sale, you'll notice a lot of, if you take a look at the hero history, a lot of these heroes have been created by trying to create that ultimate class.
Right. Well, how are you guys doing on leveling up? I've personally decided to level up 6 of my heroes so far, and I think my original plan was to only level up between 5 and 6, because that's what I only thought I would need for combat quests in the future. But I've become a little attached to some of my rares who have brought in some good hauls, And so I've leveled them at least one level, and I now have 6 that are level 3. And I guess what's kind of going through my mind right now is maybe a little more reserved, or thinking that I wouldn't level up guys before, and now that's changed, is that I think that that will be an added value to the sale price in the future. That, you're not only saving someone, that small amount of jewel, but probably more importantly, you're saving the future buyer a lot of time by having whatever hero that you have leveled up. And so I think it's going to be a big difference for rare, legendary, and mythic class heroes, that people are going to want to, if they're going to be willing to fork out that much jewel to begin with, they're going to want to go with the heroes that are going to save them the most amount of time. So tell me, what have you guys been doing for your level up strategies?
I think I'm right there with you. I've leveled up also, I believe, 6 out of my, I don't know, 13-ish heroes I'm holding at the moment. Um, and I think what I'll add to it is the random nature of the level ups are proving to be a huge deal for me. I have a common ninja who I've got to level 3, and the only reason I did that is because he's a fisherman, which is perfect match for a ninja. His genes are great, so he's an all around good ninja fisher, except for he's common, right? So you're like, well, that's kind of a detraction. But he's got currently at level 3, I'm just looking at my sheet here, he's got 83 stat points cumulatively now after 2 level ups to get to level 3. I also have a legendary pirate who's also level 3, and he's only got 81 stat points. So he started out with, I believe it is 4 more stat points, or maybe even 5 more. I forget how, every level of rarity you go up when the hero's summoned, you start with, more stats. So he's already eclipsed and even pulled ahead of that legendary character by 2. So he's netted 7 additional stat pluses just on random roll chances. So it's like, this common ninja I got here, in my opinion, is my best hero at the moment. And I was looking at the quest watch, on kingdom.watch here, and he's pulled honestly the best loot too. So it's like, I don't know, it just is kind of blowing my mind here how this common hero I have ends up being like my best guy.
Nice.
Yeah, and I feel like you're giving my secrets away, Joel. I think the ninja stat, and if you can get them with the stat boost, are key. They start off so high for their profession, and I think with ninjas, I don't necessarily think they're going to be your combat guy, but I think they're going to be your guy to pull in your inventory and get a bunch of that stuff. I think I currently have 3 ninja fishermen with stat boosts, and every time they go out, they bring back the bulk of everything that I get. And I think the price for them right now is very reasonable compared to probably what they were a couple weeks ago. You'll find them on the market here every so often where they're around 100 jewel, and I just think it's, even if they got a 0 of 0, even if they have 0 summons left, I think they're just worth it to get that extra loot that you're trying to get. And so I always have an eye for them, and I always have an eye for a thief fisher. I just think those heroes kind of start off a little bit higher, and they're, in my opinion, the most rounded heroes when it comes to their profession and where they kind of start at. And then obviously, like we talked about, if it's a ninja or a thief, their profession's fishermen, and so they're always going to accumulate more stat points for those specific professions that you're looking for, and they're going to keep on moving higher. I don't think I currently have a hero, honestly, at a level 3 right now. And it's kind of been tough for me because I've been trying to sell a few of mine. And so going back and forth and with these RPC issues, it's been difficult. And I think I lost like a day or two just dealing with that. And to kind of bring it into Raph's point, I do see heroes out there that are close to level 3, or they've leveled up to level 3. And one consideration that I take into, and I don't know if you guys do either, but every time I go to try to buy a hero, I always try to buy a profession that it's made for, and a stat boost that's within that profession. I just think that's the ultimate way to go, especially with prices. There's no point of wasting your money on a hero that's kind of a mix match. And, and there's a lot of those out there. So I think you really got to do your research and try to find some good ones. Now, when I look at some of these when they're leveled up, it's crazy because some of them, when you see them leveled up, some might have higher stats at level 2 than some of these at level 3. So it's kind of crazy. I don't know if some of these guys are picking the wrong stats that they want to level up, or that's just bad luck, or just kind of the way that it's kind of fallen. But it's kind of, if I see a level 3 and I'm seeing level 2s out there that have better stats, I'm going to pick that level 2. And I'm pretty sure, to be completely honest with you, I'm pretty sure they'll probably even out down the road. I can't see them going too far away from each other, but I'm always trying to go for the one that has the better stats, and I have been taking into account if it's a level 3 or level 2, because I've seen some, and it's like, man, I've seen it kind of with the ninjas. It's like, man, their stats. I have a common ninja, and his stats are higher than your rare, and they're both level 2s. So.
All right, well, let's go to Gen Zero check-in. Let's start with you, Walton. You had a pretty big haul this last time, huh?
Well, my first, so as we've kind of talked about, we do 2 Gen Zero heroes, and we'll kind of determine if we get them for 2 summons, and we kind of, it's up to you to kind of determine if you want to rent out and get 2 Gen 1s out of it, or if you want to summon them together. And I decided to rent my first for all times, just because the renting prices right now, in my opinion, are unbeatable. They went down so low, and with jewel price fluctuating so much, they go back up. But my first pull was kind of garbage.
Walton,
I was kind of lucky to get my.
Walton, sorry to interrupt. Just to clarify, when you say you rent one out, you're hiring one to pair with our Gen Zero, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'm renting for what's out there. I'm not renting ours out. So, at this point, I'm still thinking, I mean, the hero market's getting a little tough. It's tough not to try to create a hero. I think everyone that's been a part of this game loves it's like opening up a pack of cards almost, or, whatever. It's that anticipation of getting a great hero. And when I did it for my first round, I got a common and I got a uncommon, and I was kind of like, okay, no worries, I'll get my money back. But since the market went down, I'm kind of lucky to get my money back for those. And so I think one of them I got my money back, and the other one I'm still trying to sell. But then my second one was pretty good. I did a mythic, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I did a mythic with the monk, and I got a paladin uncommon, which was decent, but then I had the crappy profession of a fisherman, so that kind of sucked. But it was a 5/5 Gen 1, so I can't hate too much on it. I mean, if you're trying to create, the elite class, it is a decent hero to have. So not too hurt on that one. And then I ended up on my second one. I did our pirate with our rare pirate with a legendary pirate, and I created a mythic pirate. And the thing that made that one great was not only was it a mythic pirate, but it had high stats for mining, and it's a miner, and it has a stat boost for the miner. So for that mythic, I couldn't have asked for a better, because that's what I look for when I buy too. And I know other people look for that when they buy too. So I couldn't have asked for a better card, in my opinion. And that's my first mythic that I've ever summoned. I think you guys have summoned a couple. And so it's exciting when you get that. And, at this point, I'm trying to determine if I should sell it or hold on to it. The hardest part right now, in my opinion, the only hard thing right now is miners are kind of the oddball out right now. I think we're supposed to get mining, this week?
Yeah.
It might be pushed back with some of the issues that we've been having and with the holiday and everything. But the only downside from that is I feel like miners are kind of the oddball out, where they're the only profession right now that doesn't have one that you can do 5 of 5, earn your points, and get the most value out of it. Don't get me wrong, you can still have it be a fisherman, a forager, or even a gardener, but you're not really maximizing the experience points. And, as we kind of talked about, I think that's going to matter down the road.
Yeah, how about you, Neindorf? You've done one round of summoning now?
Yeah, yeah. Last night I had the first round, and I decided I was going to give Sandwich Punch's philosophy a roll here. So I decided to go try to rent out heroes to pair with each of our Gen Zeros separately. So I did, I was going to rent a monk to go with our monk and a pirate to go with our pirate and see if we couldn't get, some of those recessives to also be matched with the dominant to give you that higher probability at advanced. So the first roll I had done, which I don't know, this is how it happens, but it was a pirate with our pirate, and I ended up getting a monk. So I was like, okay, all right, it's fine, right? It all works out. That's kind of the two classes that we're going for here. But luckily he was a rare, so that's that was where to Walton's point, you got to get. With commons, it's almost like you could possibly lose money with the hero market. Uncommons, you can break even, and rares, it seems like you're in the black here. And so then the second one I did was a monk with our monk, and I got another monk that was common. The fascinating thing, though, to me is if you're following Sandwich Punch's philosophy, I'm probably going to sell the rare monk who is a forager, just basically for profit, and also because his R1 recessive gene is a non-match. I want to say it was like a knight or something that didn't really make a lot of sense given the two heroes I chose. So I'm going to probably deal that one. But the common monk I have actually is a fisher, and his R1 is also a monk. So that's like a great intro. That's half the equation I need for a summoning partner to try to go for ninjas. So I think overall I'd say it was a success for me. It wasn't resounding success. I think I'll break even just because of the rare alone. But I think I also like this Gen 1 common monk, with that recessive monk too, to kind of lead me into the future here. I don't like the common, but honestly, as we've seen, some of these common heroes have actually been some of our highest performing questers, and honestly, some of the summons I've done that have come from commons with uncommons have given me more rares. Obviously, it's all kind of luck of the draw, but that's just kind of what I've been seeing. So I think that's my plan going forward. Is now the next turn here, I'm gonna go full pirate and see if I can't get a pirate with a recessive pirate, and I'll keep you guys informed.
All right, I like it. Go full pirate.
That's right.
Coin the phrase.
Hopefully not Steve.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for us from DeFi Kingdoms for tonight. Any closing remarks, Walton?
Honestly, I don't have any at this time.
All right. How about you, Neindorf?
The only thing I'd really say is it can be a little, stressful with the hero market the way it is, but with the jewel price going up, it's so, it's kind of bittersweet, right? You want to see jewel keep going up because you're invested in jewel, but then it kind of makes playing the game more costly too. So it's, it's a good problem to have, I suppose, but it's something that I think we need to keep watching, and I'm sure we'll talk about in future episodes.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic of conversation, and one that when I don't have the Gen Zero heroes, I'm probably preaching patience, and then once I'm sitting on them, I'm getting anxious to start moving things right away. So yeah, that's I'm sure a balanced, well measured approach is the way to go. All right, well, thanks all for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.